Building a credit card setup on a budget can be quite difficult. Depending on where you look, you might be told that the optimal credit card setup for you is going to run you over $500 in annual fees. First off, I don't think that that's practical for most people out there, nor do I think it's necessary to get a lot of cash back. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing how you can build a few potential setups under 4 certain price points. First price point is going to be those looking to build a setup with no annual fees at all. Second price point, people building a setup under $100. Third will be setups under $500. And for our ballers out there, setups under $2,000 for our fourth price point. And the only rule for today's video, the maximum number of cards per setup is going to be set at 3. That way we avoid super complicated setups with 8 to 10 plus cards. Just keeps it simpler. But let's start at square one with 2 of the best no annual fee setups out there. First one's going to be focused on maximizing our cash back. The second one's going to be focused on enhancing our travel. Now for that first setup focused on maximizing our travel, the first card I recommend picking up is the Capital One Saver one. And the spending categories on this card will allow us to earn 5% cash back on all of our Capital One purchased rental cars and hotels. We're going to be able to earn 3% back on all of our select streaming services, groceries, dining, entertainment, and then 1% cash back everywhere else. The second card in this setup I would recommend getting is the City Custom Cash. This card can be used to get us 5% cash back on a select category of choice every single month. This means I could designate this as my gas card or maybe my grocery card to lock up 5% there. Then the third card I'd recommend getting in the setup will be the Built MasterCard. This card can get us 3 times points back on our dining purchases, 2 times points back on all travel purchases, doesn't have to be through Built. We can also get 1 times points back on our rent purchases every month without any extra transaction fees. So putting all that together, we'd be able to earn 5% cash back on our hotels and rental cars through Capital One, 5% back on a category of choice with the Custom Cash. I'd probably set it to our gas category as we didn't hit that with any of our cards. We're going to be able to get 3% back on our select streaming services, groceries, entertainment, dining. Then we'll finally be able to get 1 times points back on our rent purchases with that Built MasterCard. On top of that, with the Built card, they have a special rent day celebration where on the first of the month for every single month, you can get double the points in each category except for rent. This means maybe you want to book airfare. We can then wait till the first of the month to pick up 4 times points back there. If you're going out to eat on the first of the month, 6 times points back. And I do believe that this covers the majority of categories out there to at least get us more than 1% cash back. If I could throw in 1 extra card, I'd go pick up a 2% catch-all card like the Citi Double Cash, Wells Fargo Active Cash, something like that to give us a little bit more. But overall, between those 3 cards, I think that you're earning a lot of cash back. But now moving on to our no-fee travel setup, I'd typically go with something like Chase or Capital One, but making the assumption that you don't want to spend anything on an annual fee later down the road, we're actually going to look at the Wells Fargo trifecta. The first card you're going to get is the Wells Fargo Active Cash to lock up 2% cash back everywhere you go. We're then going to pick up the Wells Fargo Attune card to give us 4% cash back on our self-care purchases, impactful purchases, and our sports, recreation, and entertainment purchases. And on this autograph card, you can lock up 3 times points back on our dining, gas, all of our travel, some select streaming, phone plans, and on our transit. This means that across the board with these Wells Fargo cards, we're locking up at least 2% cash back to upwards of 4% back on every single purchase. And where I do think that this becomes a bit more of a hot take for travel is with Wells Fargo, you're only going to have access to 6 transfer partners as your system isn't really well known for travel. Other systems like Chase, American Express, Capital One will have 15 plus transfer partners, but you will have to pay for a card to get those typically. However, with Wells Fargo, you get a lot of cash back and you do have access to those partners for no fee, which is the reason it earns a spot on today's list. But now let's move on to our setups under $100, and this is where we have a lot of flexibility. Today, I have 3 setups for you, 1 for cash back, 1 maximizing our travel, and 1 that's a bit of a hybrid, bridging the gap between the 2. Looking at our cashback setup, the first card I'd recommend picking up is the American Express Blue Cash Preferred. Now this card will have no annual fee that first year. Each year after, it will have a $95 annual fee. With this card, you're able to earn 6% cash back on your grocery purchases, 6% back on your streaming services, 3% back on our gas, and 3% back on our transit. Also on this card is going to be a statement credit for a Disney bundle valued at $84 each year. Basically, you'll get $7 back each month if you spend $9.99 a month or more on an eligible Disney bundle. And falling back to our two other cards that will need to have no annual fees in order to stay under that $100 budget, the first card is going to be that Citi Custom Cash once again to lock up 5% back at a select category of choice. And then the third card is going to be the Chase Freedom Unlimited. That card is going to be used to get us 5% back on all of our travel through Chase, 3% back on our dining and drugstore purchases, and 1.5% cash back everywhere else we spend. So putting that all together, we can earn 6% back on our grocery purchases, select streaming services, 5% back on our travel purchase through Chase, 5% back on a select category of choice, then 3% back on our gas, transit, dining, drugstores, and 1.5% cash back everywhere else we spend. Not to mention, we're also going to have that $84 Disney bundle credit, which I do think a lot of people could take advantage of. Now looking at our travel setup for under $100, we're going to have the Chase Trifecta. So to build the Chase Trifecta, you're going to need 3 credit cards: the Chase Freedom Unlimited, Chase Freedom Flex, and the Chase Sapphire Preferred. The 2 Freedom cards have no annual fees, and the Sapphire Preferred will have a $95 annual fee. We just talked about the Freedom Unlimited. That will get us 5% back on our Chase purchase travel, 3% back on our dining and drugstores, and 1.5% back everywhere else. The Chase Freedom Flex will get us 1% back everywhere we spend, 3% back on our dining and drugstore purchases, 5% back on our Chase travel, but where we'll really use it is the 5% cash back on a quarterly rotating category. Then our third card, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, will get us 5 times points back on our Chase purchase travel. We'll get 3 times points back on our dining, online grocery orders, as well as our select streaming services, then 1 times points back everywhere else. This card will also give me a $50 hotel credit for a stay every single year, as well as come with over $150 of partner benefits and value. That's going to include a DoorDash Dash Pass subscription valued at $120, and you'll be able to get 5 times points back on your Peloton and Lyft rides as well. But the big reason I mentioned this setup is because with the Sapphire Preferred, on all of our Chase points that we earn, you can get an additional 25% value when you redeem them through the Chase portal. That means if I have, let's say, $1,000 worth of points, I'd then redeem it for travel in the Chase portal, I'd receive $1,250 worth of points. That's a lot of money if you do accumulate a lot of Chase points, which is pretty easy to do with the generous sign-up bonuses. And if you are interested in transferring your points to a transfer partner, Chase is going to offer you 14 total, 11 airlines, and 3 hotels. On top of that, the value of each Chase point is around 2 cents per point when redeemed for travel in their portal, which ranks amongst the highest on the entire credit card market. But now let's take a look at a hybrid setup, which I do believe gives us the most flexibility for the cards that we choose to go with. There's a ton of co-branded cards out there, and for an example that I'm going to use today, we're going to talk about a co-branded card with Chase, being the World of Hyatt card. Now, most hotel issuers will have a co-branded card. If you do go get the World of Hyatt credit card, it's going to have a $95 annual fee, and our spending categories are going to be focused on getting us more points when we do spend with World of Hyatt. With the card, you're going to be able to earn 9 times points back on all of your eligible World of Hyatt purchases. Then you're also going to be able to earn 2 times points back on your restaurants, local transit, airlines, gym memberships, and then 1 times points everywhere else. And on top of all that, you're also going to receive a free night in a World of Hyatt hotel every single year by simply carrying the credit card. And with a $95 annual fee, that free stay will basically wipe that away, assuming that you were already planning on staying in a World of Hyatt hotel. And for 2 other cards we could pair up with it, we're going to have a lot of options. If you're someone that's really dedicated to earning points for your hotel stays, maybe just stick with the World of Hyatt card and maybe pick up 1 other card. If you want to earn some cash back on the side, fall back to that Citi Custom Cash once again to give you that 5% cash back with no annual fee in a category of choice every single month. On top of that, another card you could pair with it to get more cash back will be that Chase Freedom Unlimited to earn that 5% back on all of your Chase purchase travel, 3 times on our dining and drugstore purchases, as well as 1.5% cash back everywhere else we spend. And truthfully, a hybrid system is a great way to earn a ton of cash back with a hotel or airline that you like or any other co-branded company. I think that if you're committed to World of Hyatt, getting that card's a no-brainer to earn that 9 times points back, which is effectively 9% cash back. Maybe you like flying with Delta, check out their cards that they offer under that budget. Maybe you like other hotels, Marriott Bonvoy. Basically, the options are unlimited here. Find one of those hotel or co-branded cards, roll with that, and then combo it with 2 other no annual fee credit cards. But let's take our budget up to another level, now setting the bar at $500. And on this budget level, I have 2 setups for us, one being a high-level travel setup, the other being focused on cashback. Beginning with the cashback setup, the total fee here is going to be $190. The first card that we're going to get on this setup is going to be the US Bank Shopper Cash Rewards Visa credit card. And this is going to have no annual fee the first year, followed up with $95 annual fees after. And with this card, you're going to be able to earn 6% cash back on 2 select retailers of choice every single quarter, up to the first $1,500 you spend. And I'm going to throw a list up here on the screen of some of the retailers you could choose. A couple that stick out to me because they're so common to spend at: Target, Amazon, Best Buy, things along those lines where you can line up big purchases to lock up that 6% back. This card is also going to allow you to earn 5.5% cash back on all of your hotels and rental cars purchased through US Bank. You're also going to be able to earn 3% cash back on everyday category of choice, which might include wholesale clubs, gas, utilities, things along those lines. And when you're not earning those elevated multipliers with this US Bank card, you'll fall back to 1.5% cash back. The second card I recommend picking up in this setup is going to be the Amex Blue Cash Preferred, which we saw earlier. This is also going to have no annual fee that first year, then we'll take on a $95 annual fee each year after. And just a reminder, with this card, you can lock up 6% cash back on your groceries and select streaming services, 3% back on your gas and your transit purchases, 1% back everywhere else. But you can also receive that $84 Disney bundle credit when you do carry this card. And we're going to see a familiar card once again, this one being the Citi Custom Cash, which has no annual fee. Just a reminder, this card will earn you 5% cash back in a select category of choice. So that means with this setup, you're able to earn 6% cash back on your groceries, select streaming services, 2 retailers of choice, 5.5% cash back on some travel through US Bank, 5% cash back on a select category of choice with that Citi Custom Cash. You can earn 3% cash back on your gas, transit, and a select category for an everyday purchase. And finally, you'll be able to earn 1.5% cash back everywhere else. Then for our travel setup under that $500 budget, we're going to take a look at the Capital One Duo. So the grand total for this setup is going to be $395. It's going to consist of 2 cards being a duo, the Capital One Saver one, which we saw earlier and has no annual fee, but also the Capital One Venture X, which has that $395 annual fee. And you definitely could add another $95 annual fee card into this setup to stay under that budget of $500, but just for the sake of explaining things, we're just going to assume you only get those 2 credit cards. And to remind you about our spending categories with the Saver One, you can earn 5% cash back on your hotels and rental cars through Capital One, 3% back on your groceries, dining, select streaming services, and on our entertainment purchases with Capital One, and then 1% back everywhere else. Then with the Capital One Venture X, we can earn 10 times points back on our Capital One rental cars and hotels, as well as 5 times points back on all of our flights through Capital One. Then we'll fall back to a catch-all category with 2 times points back on all of our other purchases with the credit card. And on the Venture X, we're going to see a lot of value as well built inside this credit card. The first thing we're going to see is a $300 annual travel credit when you do spend with the card. We're also going to see an extra 10,000 anniversary miles, valued at $100 for every year you do hold the credit card. This credit card will also grant you access to over 1,300 lounges worldwide, so if you are flying through airports, you can just stay, kick back, and relax between your flights. The card will also give us a $100 experience credit with the Collection, which is a hotel service, and we'll also receive a $50 experience credit with the Lifestyle Collection for some enhanced travel benefits. When it comes to our rental cars, we're going to have Hertz President status by simply carrying this credit card. We'll also have an auto rental collision coverage. Included on this credit card will be a complimentary prior subscription valued at $149, and we're also going to get 6 months of complimentary membership to the Cultivist valued at $220. The card's going to have a bunch of smaller details and benefits like a cell phone protection, no blackout dates, things along those lines. But to speak more to a whole, Capital One's going to offer you 18 transit partners, 15 airlines, 3 hotels. The value of their points when redeemed for travel is around 1.7 to 1.8, which is very respectable on the market. So I do think that there's a ton of value you are going to get with this Capital One Duo. And if you're interested in learning more about this setup, I'll have an in-depth review on the Duo linked up above and down below. But now jumping to our final budget tier, the bar is now set at $2,000. And on this tier, I'm only going to bring one setup to share with you all, and this is going to be the American Express trifecta. And the grand total to carry this setup is going to be $1,020. So yeah, that $2,000 budget line is a bit overkill, but $2,000 sounds a lot better than an $1,100 budget. So the three cards in the setup are the American Express Blue Business Plus, the American Express Gold Card, and the American Express Platinum Card. Our first card, the Blue Business Plus, is going to have no annual fee, and with it, you're going to be able to earn 2 times points back everywhere you spend, so this is going to serve as our catch-all credit card. Our second card is going to be the American Express Gold Card. With an annual fee of $325, it is a bit expensive. However, you're going to be able to earn 4 times points back on your groceries and dining, 3 times points back on your flights through Amex, 2 times points back in your hotels through Amex, and 1 times points everywhere else. This gold card's also going to come with over $400 worth of value with a bunch of loaded statement credits. The first credit we're going to see is $120 for either Uber or Uber Eats. We're going to get $84 each year for a Dunkin' statement credit, as well as $100 each year for a Resi credit. There's going to be a $120 dining credit at some select restaurants, a $100 credit for the hotel collection when you book through American Express. And the last small points about this card, you're going to have some exclusive Amex offers and some entertainment offers as well to earn some elevated cash back. And then our final card in this trifecta is going to be the American Express Platinum Card. This card's going to have a $695 annual fee, being the most expensive one on today's list. So with this credit card, you're going to be able to earn 5 times points back on all of your flights and prepaid hotels through American Express, and 1 times points back everywhere else you spend. So putting the entire trifecta together, we're going to use the Blue Business Plus for 2 times points everywhere we spend, our gold card for our dining to lock up 4 times points back there, as well as 4 times on our grocery. Then the platinum is going to be our travel card for 5 times points back on all of those purchases. And although there is that very large annual fee with this card, we're going to have over $1,500 worth of credit built inside of it. And just to run through these credits real quickly, we're going to have a $200 hotel credit each year, $240 digital entertainment credit, a $155 credit for Walmart Plus. We're going to have access to American Express lounges worldwide, which is valued at over $500. We're going to get a $200 Uber cash credit, $200 for an airline credit each year, $100 for Saks Fifth Avenue each year, $199 for our clear entry credit. We're going to have access to some Resi dining specials and some American Express offers as well. And similar to the Capital One Duo, I will have a much more in-depth review on the Amex trifecta linked up above and down below if you are interested in learning about that or even more about each card inside of it. But that'll wrap up our list for some setups on a budget. We saw that there's plenty of setups from no annual fees all the way up to paying over $1,000 to hold 3 credit cards. There's so many options out there, and if you have a setup that didn't necessarily align with what I shared today, be sure to comment it down below to help others learn about how they can combo cards to get the most cash back. What I shared was just recommendations that I think could go a long way if you're looking to get travel-based, a lot of cash back, whatever you're looking for. There's so many options. Truly have fun with it and enjoy earning cash back. I'm going to have a lot of in-depth reviews on a bunch of cards mentioned today, linked down below in the description. So be sure to check those out if you're interested in learning more about a specific card. If you guys got anything out of today's video or you liked it, go hit that like button and consider subscribing. It really helps me grow the channel, continue to get the message of better personal finance out to so many other people. Greatly appreciate y'all watching. I'll see you in the next video.